right, Cole, the interviewee, finally being interviewed for his sexy deck profile.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Awesome. What are you playing today?
Playing Centur-Ion.
Centur-Ion, how'd you do?
1 tie, 1 loss, 2 wins. Ended with 6 stars because we're doing the canned food drive today.
Awesome. Do you like the deck?
I love this deck. I've been playing it since it came out. I think this is one of the most fair decks that has probably ever existed in like a high power meta.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, I think this deck is really fair actually.
Ever since Calamity was banned, now
yeah,
you're calling it fair?
I think Calamity like made it one dimensional, and it didn't make the deck like as good as it could be because Cosmic Blazar is just like an insane card.
Cool. So. Awesome. Yeah, let's see it.
So I think a lot of this will probably be pretty standard to some of the deck profiles people have seen before, but we're going to start off with 3 Primera. Primera's protection comes up a decent amount, so not only does she search any Centur-Ion card, but when she's in the back row, if you can set up more than 1 in the back row for your combo, you're protected from a lot of destruction when it comes to like your Centur-Ion monsters. But for those out there, make sure that if they activate the effect, you can't special summon after that. You have to special summon then activate. So if they activate the effect and try to special summon, cheating you. So next we got 3 Trudea. So this is probably just a little bit better of a starter than Primera is, especially if you have no other cards in your hand. Pretty standard there. So it places itself down to put a different name down. One of the, I think, coolest field spells. We got a trigger sync on the opponent's turn, and also you can discard a card to place a name in the spell and trap zone. If you haven't kind of guessed right now, the 6 of the main cards play around Droll. So really the only thing that's important in this deck is adding this or having this be the first thing you add, because if they Droll after that, it almost never matters.
The Droll also doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess Mulcharmies don't even really matter against this deck, right?
No, yeah. You can probably give your opponent 1 or 2 draws in your main combo with Foolos, and then you can avoid normal summoning in this deck, but you often do want to use your normal summon. So that's at least 1 card they get, but you don't really need to special summon much from the hand. So to end off the best cards in the Centur-Ion deck themselves, 3 Emblema Oath. So this does lock you, but it will place any name into the spell and trap zone, or it will give you access to your field spell if you need it. So this also plays around Droll. So if you normal summon Primera, add something, and you have this in your hand, you don't have to worry about adding the field spell to your hand because Oath is just an all-around good card. It does lock you, but getting rid of the monster that you place with it is generally going to happen. And then to end off like the consistency portion of the deck, we got 1 Bonfire, 1 Prosperity, and 1 Terraforming. I think that, so this is a 42 card list, and adding more consistency to it helps you play more hand traps. I think it's probably a given, and this is a pretty hand trap heavy deck. The interaction in this deck is really, really important because every piece matters. Just like most decks, like you can't really flippantly use your interaction. So to end off the Centur-Ion cards themselves, we have the cards you never really want to draw. So you have 1 Gargoyle, 1 Atri, 1 Bonds, 1 Phalanx, and 1 Wake Up. 90% of your games, if not 99% of your games, are going to be better if you just never draw these. They're way better coming out of the deck or using them when you actually need them or adding them when you need them. All of these I would potentially side out other than Bonds. I think all of these can be sided out for more hand traps or for board breakers, excluding Bonds or maybe your favorite card of these. I think Bonds is like the only card I've ever missed when siding.
It's a lot of Garnets. Yeah.
Yeah, they all can do things in your hand. So as long as if you only draw 1, it's not a big deal. But when you draw more than 1, it can be a big deal. Especially if you draw like Gargoyle Atri, it's really rough. So next we'll go over the tertiary engines. So we have Bestials. This is way better than Horus. I've played both. Bestial engine, especially because Fiendsmith is a thing, just provides way more value. It also helps you open up plays like Druid Swarm into Chaos Angel, and then you also can play the Dispatter. Regained huge. One thing I didn't really get to do much today is play Bestial Control. I played a little bit, but like if Regain stays on the field and you can constantly summon back Baldrake, and the whole deck is darks and lights pretty much. So Baldrake can do some really heavy lifting through a grind game. So next we got the hand traps. So we're playing 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Veiler. Gold Rare Ash Blossom is the highest rarity, by the way, just so you know. I mean,
Flex.
QCR. Next we got 3 Imperm. Next we got 2 Mourner, 2 Droll, and finally 2 Nibiru. So this looks like you might play like a crossout package here, but what the idea is that I want to draw any combination of these, and so you have 8 different Imperms that you can use. You have 3 Ash, double Droll, double Nibiru. I just feel like this seemed to me like a good ratio, and I saw these like a perfect amount. And I think one of the other things is like I'm pretty much willing to draw multiples of any of these other hand traps, but I'm not willing to draw multiples of these. So that's how I kind of solved the problem of never seeing 2 Drolls, never seeing 2 Nibirus. I did see 2 Nibirus today, that sucked. Yeah. But I got to use 1, so that was good. So that is it for hand traps. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hand traps. And that's not including the Bestials if you're playing against a deck that hates Bestials.
Right.
All right, so for the main deck, we got 2 Primera Primus. So I think Primera Primus is obviously busted. The amount of times that I've resolved the destruction effect, every time it takes somebody by surprise. I don't think there's been one person that I've used the card against so far. I search, and then on resolution, it's like non-target, destroy 2 cards, 1 on their field, 1 on my field. Your cards are always protected, so you just choose the field spell. And you get a free pop and Emblema Oath into your hand. So next we got 1 Auxilla. I used to be on 2 Auxilla. I think with Primera Primus, I think you can stay at 1.
This card's insane.
Yeah, Auxilla is really, really good. It's all these are generic, which makes them even better. Summoning this on turn 1 is going to be the most optimal play over something like Legacia. This protects all face-up back row. So it's really easy to play around Ogre most of the time. If they don't Ogre like your Trudea target after you use Trudea, then there's basically no other place they can Ogre you. Because if you get this out, Ogre is just dead. So this card is insane for sure. Next we got 2 Legacia. This card it brings a lot of value. You pop 1, draw 1. As long as you're in a game state where popping 1 is really good, or if you can't target, this card's also insane because it doesn't target. And it keeps the draw engine going. So like with Atri, Regained, and Legacia, there's a lot of chance to draw, and a lot of chance to draw means you see more hand traps, which means you can pass the turn, because when you pass the turn, you have hand traps in your hand, and they can't play. So next we go 2 Blazar. This is obviously going to be the MVP of the deck that gets summoned out by the Crimson Dragon. This is the only target for the Crimson Dragon I have, and I am only playing 1 Crimson Dragon, because I think by the time you get to this, you either know that they're saving something for it so you don't run into it, or you know they don't have anything for it, so playing 1's pretty safe. And then double Blazar, you win the game. There's almost no game state I think you can really come back from, other than like a Dark Ruler might do it.
You like a Supernova Dragon?
I don't like the way it activates. Yeah. I don't like how it doesn't banish for cost, because like Cosmic takes itself off the field as cost, or not, or as part of its activation, whatever. And so because it's off the field, it's just that much better, I think. I do think that Super Red Nova does have a place, and I've been thinking about that in Mathmech Sigma, because sometimes unaffected monsters are just hard to out. But when it comes to unaffected monsters, I think summoning Chaos Angel is often going to be a better choice. Chaos Angel being summoned by Primera and Druisworm just goes insane. Like, I've broken so many boards with that, especially Ubel boards, right? Like, you banish Nightmare Pain, and then Druiswarm sends the Phantom of Yubel. They either chain the Phantom of Yubel or they lose it, and it's not being destroyed, so that's a big plus. And then Dispatter, I've summoned this a couple times. I summoned it last week a lot, didn't summon it this week at all. It's just a good negate if you have some banish stuff, and if you have some stuff in the banish zone.
Good card.
Yeah. So next we have 1 Artemis, 1 IP, and 1 SP. So the Artemis is really cool, right? Like if you draw only Bestials, like if you draw a Lubellion, and say like a Veiler, right? You can effectively make a combo to set up Regained, make SP. The SP can banish the Artemis at the end, and then you can put it back to draw with Regained, and maybe you'll draw into your field spell or Emblema or something. That's the idea, is that this is mostly just SP fodder, and you can also link it off using Primera. So there's some, game states where you can normal Primera, not use the effect, and then link it straight into Artemis, and then go from there and kind of just powerhouse into SP and try to break the board. And then you would only do that if you had a way to get to Primera after, so you could use its effect. And then 1 Baguska and 1 Typhon. Never summoned Baguska yet so far. Summoned Typhon twice last week. It was really good last week. Didn't see a chance to summon it today. I think that this card's cuttable. I'd have to debate on what to cut. You can play Striker Dragon. I've seen it in some lists because you can link off either the Gargoyle or the or Atri. They're both dragons. Next, we will go into the extra deck. So the side deck here, I think definitely can be changed, especially when it comes to this first card I'll show. So Triple Tactics Talents, I think the idea was that I would side it in going first or going second, but I just didn't ever feel like this was a good slot to throw in. I felt like the other cards I had were just better, and I didn't want to side out the rest of my hand traps. So this will probably be changed out for back row hate because I don't have any right now. Okay. Next, we got 3 Deck Lockdown. The card's obviously amazing going first. It's a 2-turn droll. I think that if you're not on this on Centur-Ion, then you're probably doing it wrong because you can play under it very easily, and there's a lot of decks that can't. So I'd say 3 Deck Lockdown is great for Centur-Ion. Judgment, I think this card might be something I change as well. This card's obviously crazy going first. I tried to play cards like, so Deck Lockdown, Judgment, Talents, all cards that provided me interaction when I was stopped from having interaction. So if they stop my Primera, that's all I do. Having 1 Judgment, could save the game, or if you have 2 interactions, including a Judgment, that definitely can take you to the next turn. Right. Next, we got Perlia. I think Perlia is really good in this deck. I think it hits Voiceless Voice, it hits Yubel. Maybe not as much on some other decks. I think this is definitely the one that you can play around the most. I only have 1 Fulos, but honestly, I don't really like Fulos in this deck. So I just end up liking Perlia more. And last, evenly, of course, Break a Board. Huge value. I don't think there's much to say. Yeah, and that's the deck list.
Awesome, dude. Anything you would add, or I guess change out of Thrust with?
Talents?
Yeah, talents.
Probably back row hate. So maybe triple Cosmic is probably better than Storm right now.
Cool.
Storm and Duster are not as good right now. There's a lot of protection going around. And you can always just chain whatever your back row is most of the time. If it's not like imperm, then it's probably going to be able to be used. So Cosmic's probably just better most of the time.
Cool. Awesome, man. Any shout outs for you?
Shout outs to Team Skill Drained. Me and Louis behind the camera there started it because we wanted to showcase the fact that there's a fun locals to go to that exists in the world. And so others could maybe take from an example like that and try to go to their own locals and make it a good place, because at the end of the day, it's not the store that makes it good in its entirety. It's going to be the people that work in the store, the people that go play at their local LGS and try to make it a good environment. So, you know, shout outs to good environments, shout outs to people who want to make it a good environment. So I would say, you know, as far as individuals, anybody that's appeared on the channel, I appreciate you, especially when it comes to Team Skill Drain. You know, you got Tyler, you got Beck, you got Matt, you got Eric, you know, you got Louis, unfortunately.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Yeah, no, it takes a team effort to do something like this, and I think everybody knows that, and I'm grateful for it. So that's it.
Cool. Awesome, man.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.